Hello, and welcome back to Tarajio Talks, where we share stories of strength, hope, and healing through breast cancer awareness. I'm your host, Viola, breast cancer warrior and advocate, and today I'm opening my heart to share episode 2 about my treatment plan, the path I walked through treatment one step at a time. When I was diagnosed, life changed quickly. Suddenly, there were appointments, tests, doctors, and many decisions to make. Sometimes it felt very overwhelming, but then through it all, I learned that treatment is not just about medicine, it is also about courage and faith and perseverance. And so I finished up all the diagnostics that I needed to do, the consultations, and my oncologist was able to give me a treatment plan that took on several different stages, which included 6 rounds of chemotherapy, after which I was to do a partial mastectomy on my right breast, followed by radiotherapy, and then ultimately hormonal treatment. So I began with 6 rounds of chemotherapy, which was meant to target the cancer cells and shrink the tumor. It wasn't always easy, and prior to beginning treatment, I never once felt sick or pain. It's just that one morning I woke up and felt the lump. But if you asked me if I ever felt sick from cancer or anything like that, I didn't, It's just that I had that lump. My first session of chemo hit me really hard. During chemotherapy, they mix up the various drugs that you've been prescribed and you take them in intravenously. Through drips. So you go to hospital, you are booked in for a day admission, and then you take your chemo, like your dose, your cocktail of drugs. Yeah. And so my sessions would ordinarily take anywhere from 9 in the morning to like around 3 or 4 in the evening. And I would go into hospital. Most of the time, thankfully, I had family and friends who'd come and they'd keep me company. And so the sessions were really not bad, only that 2 days after treatment is when now I would normally start feeling the side effects. So I remember the second morning after my first chemo treatment, I woke up crying. And I couldn't understand what was going on to my body. I was just feeling as though, I was out of my body. I was feeling all these things, the drugs were hitting me in so many different ways. I just woke up feeling, helpless in my own body. My house help, Carol, came in to check on me. And when she saw the state I was in, she retreated, visibly scared. Later, when I was able to finally wake up and get out of bed, she asked whether there was anyone I could call to come over because she was so overwhelmed and did not quite know how to be around me. Anyway, by and by, we managed, to understand how to deal with the side effects. And some days after chemo, I felt fatigue, a lot of weakness, lethargy. There were changes in my appetite. I felt a metallic taste in my mouth, and there were emotional moments because chemo was the hardest start of my treatment plan. But with every round, I reminded myself that this is not the end of me and that this was part of my healing. So I got through the 6 rounds of chemo, and by round 4, I think my body had acclimatized to it and I had gotten used to it. I learned to celebrate small victories throughout my chemo and finishing each session, having strength for another day and another cycle. And receiving support from loved ones was my biggest motivation. So many people came through for me. They would sit through my rounds. We would laugh. We would share my hospital lunches together. And I remember when I finished the 6 cycles, I felt like it was such a big deal. And we all went out for lunch and we binged on nyama choma. And it was just such a celebration, After my chemotherapy, I had a partial mastectomy and my whole right breast was removed. It was surgery, which was done. And surgery is frightening. It's very frightening. For me, I was so scared. But it was another important step toward recovery. And I remember the weekend before surgery, I spent Sunday going for lunch and swimming with my kids, and we also did a family photo shoot. I was extremely scared of the operation, and all these thoughts of me not making it out of surgery flooded my mind. Because surgery is a very complex process. There are many people who go in and never make it out. And I was so scared because I realized the gravity of this procedure. Having your whole breast removed is a very scary and overwhelming thought. And I kept wondering how I would be after that, how I would take it, how I would cope. So it was a very emotional and scary period of my treatment plan. But I kept at it, kept at everything I needed to do, prepped and ready. And I went in for surgery. After surgery, once the anesthesia wore off, I woke up hysterical. I remember there were my family, my friends were in the room waiting for me to come out of the anesthesia. And I remember when I woke up and I saw all of them, I just was so hysterical and I kept crying, calling out for them to give me a mirror because I could feel like this whole one side of my body was gone. And I really wanted to look at it, but I couldn't, but I still wanted the mirror. So they gave me a mirror. And I looked like I would look at the mirror, but not point it at the scar because I was so traumatized. The mastectomy traumatized me completely. And for months, I was unable to look at myself. I felt hollow and incomplete. And it took me close to 2 months to finally be able to accept myself after surgery. The trauma extended to evading my self-esteem and confidence, and it is something which I continue to work on every day till now. In October of 2025, though, I took part in a beauty pageant called Scars to Stars, run by KENCO, which is the Kenyan Network of Cancer Organizations, and I managed to emerge the winner. The pageant is an annual platform organized to honor and showcase breast cancer warriors and survivors in recognition of their journeys and to raise awareness about breast cancer. I learned that scars are not signs of defeat, but they are signs that I fought and I actually won. Winning the pageant for me, beyond the fanfare and the flair, was a moment to remind myself that even in fighting cancer, there are still moments that you can get to celebrate life, to win, to do things that everyday people do. And therefore, cancer is not the end, really. It's just a different way in which to live life. After my mastectomy, I did 15 sessions of radiotherapy, which is treatment that is used to focused radiation to destroy any remaining cancer cells. And it required consistency and patience because it means going in every day for 15 days. And some days were tiring, but I kept showing up because healing often requires persistence and consistency. You have to stick to your plan. Otherwise, then once you disrupt any aspect of your treatment plan, it can destabilize so many things in your healing journey. After radiotherapy, I began hormonal treatment, which is what I am doing now. And this treatment helps reduce the chance of cancer returning by blocking hormones that may fuel certain cancers. It reminded me that some healing journeys continue quietly in the background long after the major battles seem over. And so what have I learned during my treatment plan? I have learned that healing can happen in stages, that strength grows one day at a time, that support during your treatment matters deeply. For me, this was the biggest thing that got me through my treatment journey, and that faith can carry you through uncertainty. And survivorship is a journey. It's not a moment. It is a process that you live day by day. If you're going through treatment right now, please know this, that you are stronger than you feel. You are not alone, and that one appointment, one treatment, one day at a time is the way to go about it. Thank you for joining me today again on Tara Geo Talks. Please share this episode with someone who may need encouragement today. And also, Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share Tarajio Talks for more stories of hope and awareness. Remember to take one day at a time. Don't look at the entire journey. Focus on just one day at a time. Together we are stronger. Together we can fight, and together we can beat cancer. Join me in my next episode where we get to share more about how to fight breast cancer. Thank you and bye-bye.